Imagine a plane so fast, so agile, that it could outmaneuver anything the enemy threw at it. A plane whose very silhouette became a symbol of hope for a nation under siege. This is not just any aircraft. This is the Supermarine Spitfire, Britain's most legendary fighter. Today, we'll uncover the secrets behind its design, its battlefield triumphs, and why it became the aircraft that helped save a nation. The year was 1934. Europe was slowly edging toward war, and Britain knew it needed a fighter that could dominate the skies. The Royal Air Force had planes, yes, but they were outdated. Their fighters were slower, less maneuverable, and increasingly vulnerable to the growing threats from Germany. Enter R.J. Mitchell, a man whose brilliance would change the course of aviation history. Mitchell was no stranger to innovation. At the Supermarine Aviation Works in Southampton, he had already designed seaplanes that won the Schneider Trophy, setting speed records across the globe. But his greatest challenge lay ahead, a plane that would become more than metal and engines. Mitchell's design philosophy was simple: speed, agility, and firepower. Unlike many other aircraft of the time, the Supermarine Spitfire was designed around the powerful Rolls-Royce Merlin engine, a marvel in its own right. With a sleek elliptical wing, the Spitfire could slice through the air with unprecedented efficiency. But what made it truly revolutionary was the combination of form and function. Its elliptical wings weren't just beautiful. They reduced drag, increased speed, and gave the aircraft unmatched maneuverability. Pilots could bank, turn, and climb faster than almost any enemy fighter, making the Spitfire a lethal adversary in dogfights. The prototype, known as the K5054, took to the skies on March 5, 1936. Observers were amazed. It climbed faster, turned sharper, and accelerated more cleanly than anything else in the RAF fleet. Yet there were skeptics. Could this delicate-looking plane survive the brutal realities of aerial combat? The answer would come sooner than anyone expected. By the late 1930s, tensions in Europe were escalating. Hitler's Luftwaffe was expanding, and the world was on the brink of total war. Britain needed a hero, and the Spitfire was ready to answer that call. Few events in military history are as dramatic as the Battle of Britain. In the summer of 1940, the skies over southern England became a deadly chessboard. Hundreds of German bombers and fighters roared toward London and other strategic targets. The Royal Air Force scrambled to meet them, and at the forefront of the defense were the Spitfires. It was here that the Spitfire truly earned its place in history. Unlike the slower Hurricanes, which were often tasked with engaging bombers, the Spitfire's speed and agility allowed it to take on the Luftwaffe's Messerschmitt Bf 109 fighters head-on. Pilots described it as almost instinctive to fly, responsive, smooth, and precise. A single Spitfire pilot could engage multiple enemy aircraft, outmaneuver them, and escape unscathed. Its elliptical wings and powerful Merlin engine made it a deadly ballet of aerial combat. Time and again, Spitfires intercepted German formations, preventing devastating raids and turning the tide of the battle. What made the Spitfire so effective wasn't just its appearance, it was its engineering. The Rolls-Royce Merlin engine provided up to 1,030 horsepower in early variants, giving the aircraft an incredible top speed of over 350 miles per hour. The aircraft's armament was also ahead of its time. Early Spitfires carried 8.303 Browning machine guns, but later variants could carry cannons, bombs, and rockets. This versatility allowed the Spitfire to serve not only as a dogfighter, but also as a ground attack aircraft and reconnaissance platform. Its all-metal monocoque construction made it stronger and lighter than most contemporary fighters, allowing it to sustain damage and still return pilots safely to base. This combination of speed, firepower, and durability gave the Spitfire an edge that no other aircraft could match in the early years of the war. A legendary plane is nothing without legendary pilots. Men like Johnny Johnson, Adolph Milan, and Douglas Bader became household names as they flew the Spitfire in combat. They spoke of its precision, its responsiveness, and the almost human-like connection they felt with the aircraft. Douglas Bader, who flew with prosthetic legs, famously called the Spitfire an extension of my own body. This bond between man and machine was more than poetic, it was a tactical advantage. Pilots who trusted their Spitfires were willing to take risks that other aircraft simply could not endure. The Spitfire was not static. Throughout the war, it evolved. From the early Mark I to the later Mark 19 and Mark 19X, each variant brought more power, better armament, and improved performance. Some were optimized for high-altitude combat, others for ground attack or photo reconnaissance. One remarkable variant, the Mark 9, was introduced to counter the German Focke-Wulf FW-190. With its improved Merlin 61 engine, it regained air superiority for the RAF, proving the Spitfire's adaptability in the face of new threats. This constant evolution ensured that the Spitfire remained competitive throughout the war, a rare feat in a conflict where technology advanced at breakneck speed. The Spitfire's most famous adversary was the Messerschmitt Bf 109. The two aircraft were perfectly matched in many ways, and their encounters became the stuff of legend. The Spitfire's elliptical wings gave it a tighter turning radius, allowing British pilots to outmaneuver their German counterparts. The Bf 109, however, could dive faster and climb more steeply. Battles in the skies were tense and deadly, with each dogfight a careful test of skill, strategy, and the aircraft's capabilities. These encounters were not just military engagements, they were cinematic duels that would be remembered for generations. Every successful interception, every narrowly avoided enemy attack added to the Spitfire's growing legend. Beyond its technical excellence, the Spitfire became a symbol. Its silhouette was printed on posters, its name whispered in hope by civilians under siege. To the British people, the Spitfire was more than a plane. It represented resilience, courage, and the fighting spirit of a nation. Winston Churchill himself called the pilots of the RAF the few, and the Spitfire became synonymous with that bravery. Newsreels, propaganda, and first-hand accounts immortalized the aircraft, ensuring that its legend would extend far beyond the battlefields. The Spitfire was not only a hero in Britain, it flew with Commonwealth Air Forces in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa. Later, it even served with the Free French, Polish, and Soviet Air Forces. Its influence on aircraft design was profound. Engineers worldwide studied its aerodynamics, its engine integration, and its elliptical wings. Even decades later, the Spitfire is studied in aviation schools as an example of combining beauty and functionality. Today, Spitfires are more than historical artifacts. They are living legends. Dozens of airworthy Spitfires are preserved in museums and private collections. They continue to perform in air shows, demonstrating the same grace and agility that once dominated the skies of Europe. Each flight is a reminder of a time when the Spitfire was not just metal and machinery, it was the embodiment of hope, courage, and innovation. For historians, engineers, and aviation enthusiasts, it remains a pinnacle of aircraft design. So, why did the Spitfire become Britain's most legendary fighter? Innovative design, sleek, aerodynamic, and built for maneuverability. Powerful engine, the Rolls-Royce Merlin provided unmatched speed and altitude performance. Adaptability, evolving variants kept it competitive throughout the war. Pilot connection, pilots trusted it like no other aircraft. Symbolism, it became a national icon of resistance and courage. The combination of these factors ensured that the Spitfire was not just a fighter, it was a legend, A single aircraft that could turn the tide of battles, inspire a nation, and leave a legacy that would endure for generations. The story of the Supermarine Spitfire is a story of innovation, courage, and resilience. It reminds us that technology alone does not win wars. It is the people who wield it, the visionaries who create it, and the spirit of a nation that gives it meaning. Next time you see a Spitfire soar across the sky, remember you are witnessing not just a machine, but the embodiment of Britain's fighting spirit. An aircraft that in the darkest days shone brighter than any light in the sky.